Welcome everyone to the Manchester United agenda. I can see there's a lot of people eagerly waiting for this subject tonight. We've got TalkMU, we've got Pat Lawless and myself on Monday Juma. It's 8:30 and we're ready to rumble. Take me home, take me home. Well, I am home, and I'm excited to be doing this show tonight because it's a really good topic we're discussing today. It's not so much about transfer news, ins and outs. It's about the person that's in already, and the mark they're making at the club, which we're really excited about. First of all, what a lovely day. What are we now? July the 7th. It's my brother's birthday. Happy birthday, my brother, Zico. Yeah. 37, I think, today. Yeah, 37. Wishing you well, man, and I hope to see you back on the show real soon. TalkMU. Now,
yes,
you've been doing a lot of work in the background and obviously on the show as well recently. Are you excited about tonight's topic? Because it makes a change, doesn't it, from the usual transfer rumors and rumor mill stuff, don't you think?
Yeah. I think we're kind of a little bit bamboozled, aren't we? Everybody's all up in the air, and you don't know where you're coming or going with what's going on at the moment with the club. We've had the one signing, but this is a different angle, I think, tonight, and it's going to be interesting to see what the chat have got to say as well. And happy birthday to Zico. Yes, we do miss you on the channel, bro. So yeah.
Pat Lawless, I don't think you met my brother, Big Kahinde. Little but big brother, yeah. So it's his birthday today. I'd like to wish him happy birthday as well. And also, I just want to know, Pat Lawless, you've been with us for a month or two now, really full on. I know last week we worked you overtime. You were sort of Monday to Friday doing shifts. Firstly, are you enjoying it? Do you like the strictness of the Man United agenda and the commands that we've laid down?
Eric Ten Hag is a pussycat compared to Solo.
You're telling me, but
he wakes me up at 4:30 in the morning and has me reciting tactics. Get up, again. But look, no, it's all for this good and wonderful community. It's the reason why I do it, because I couldn't enjoy it more. And look, I was asked to step in a little bit more than usual, and I'm happy to oblige. I couldn't wait for it.
Brilliant.
And happy birthday, everyone.
Thank you. And we're building a good team here, aren't we? It's a bit like what we're doing at Man United, slowly building their foundation. And we got, I think TalkMU is like the cornerstone. Without him, we'd be mashed up. Same like you, Pat. You last week, you were the cornerstone of the group, And I'm using all this Bible terminology because it's a biblical theme today when we're talking about command. First of all, let's see our disciples in the comments here. We've got Eddie, Football Waffle. Eddie, I don't know if your ears are burning, but we were talking about you earlier on. And we were asking a question. We'll speak to you later anyway. Paddy's in the house as well. He said he loves it. Also, want to say hi to Matthew Bassett as well. How you doing, Matthew Bassett? Big up, man. Hope you're well. I thought you were on the show tonight, but maybe not.
I on Monday. I don't know. With you, Matthew, with Mr. Bassett.
Ola Kunle's in the house. He's talking about the 5 commandments as well. Groundbreaking, not turning up. Anyway, we're going to get to that because obviously he's teasing us here. And we're going to get to that. HD Gamer, how you doing, man? It's cinema waiting time, because HD Gamer came in early last night and he was watching the trailers and was excited to be one of the first on the channel. I want to say hi to one of our members and regulars. It's Calm O'Connor. Hope you didn't work too hard today in the blazing hot sun. And how's life in Donny? I want to say hi to Emma as well. Emma Martinez, is she saying, has to pick us. Him going to Arsenal will be kind of embarrassing. Obviously, Matt saying hi to everyone in the channel. I want to say hi to our very own Irishman. That would be not you, Pat Lawless. It would be Rebel. And the 2 Irishmen were on the show last night and kicking up dust. It was King Sut as well. How you doing, man? Big up the Dream Team panel. See,
big up Saeed.
Sweet up here, man.
I know Saeed very well. He's a good lad. He's I think he's from Gambia, lives in Sweden, but he supports Arsenal. He's an Arsenal fan, but he's a top guy, Alan. Really top guy.
Brilliant. And let's see who else we got in the house. Bill Badger, of course. How you doing, Bill? His knees are effed up, but he would give it a go. I don't know what he's talking about there, but I hope you get better soon. FC United Forever, welcome back. Defo on only and Pat. It seems like you only come on when we're on, don't you? You're becoming fans' favourites, you know. We are. We feel sweet when you big us up like that. And yeah, H the Game is just saying here, the Man United agenda don't take 10 years to put together a good team. That's a great point. That's a great point. And hello, Rebel, for F's sake. Talking about you, Rise, I think. Anyway, we move. Oh, sorry, I've missed out somebody here. I don't want to miss out the disciples. There's probably about 12 people in the comments. And they're
Colin Whalen.
Thank you. I'm going to leave all the Irish names to you, Pat.
And Stumpy Candletop. Never forget, we can't leave Stumpy.
Can't forget Stumpy.
Never would. So as you know, guys, it's all about Eric Ten Hag. We've discussed transfers recently. Now, today, we're talking about Eric Ten Hag. Obviously, he's in there. He's in the job. Some people might have thought he's just a nice tactician and good at tactics, everything else, but he's got a ruthless streak as well. And he there's some authority. There's some sort of a hierarchy there, and he's the boss. And that's what we like to see. So he's laid down like a new covenant for the players. It's like the new commandments, the laws that we go by. And if you transgress the laws, as they say in the Bible, sin is transgression of the law. And the wages of sin is death. But in Ten Hag's case, it's out of the club as it seems. But I love it. I'm actually loving it. This is what I love to see. I'm a biblical man. And I think this commandment thing, the laws that he wants the players to abide by and set by, is brilliant. It's brilliant. These people know, so there's no confusion. This is what the standards we demand going forward. So I just finally give a big shout out to Foucault in the chat, and we're going to get going now. So we're going to read out the first commandment, and it's not going to be love thy neighbor or do not kill or anything else. Here we go. The 5 commandments of Man United agenda. Sorry, we're not the Man United. We've got our own. Eric Ten Hag says 5 strict rules for players revealed. He has been given the task of changing the culture at the club. Very important, changing the culture and restoring them to former glories. So that's the purpose of these laws. And it hasn't taken him long to make his mark. A report from the Mirror has detailed the strict rules, laws, commandments he has already put in place. So we're going to start with the first law, and it's not about ideology or anything like that. It's about clamping down on dressing room leaks. Leaked information from inside the dressing room was a major problem last season. Ten Hag has told players they're being excelled or crucified if they are found guilty of doing so. So this is about clamping down on leaks. TALKMU, I'm going to start with you. Clamping down on leaks. Previous offenders, please. What's he talking about here? Just to the layman terms, what is he referring to here about clamping down on leaks, please?
Yeah, I think there's been a few players. I think things have been pointed at, and numerous players actually. I think it was Martial one, possibly Jesse Lingard, the goalkeeper. What's his name? The goalkeeper who we let go. Grant, was it Lee Grant? His name was mentioned, and yeah, it's just not a great way to. It's not healthy for a dressing room to not be able to trust exactly what's getting said in the club, around the club, in training or whatever. You know, it must stay. What happens at the club stays in the club. It's like, you know, on a work day, whatever. You know, you've got to have trust amongst each other. And if you can't trust each other, you know, and it's just not just that. As the saying goes, airing your linen in public, you know, your dirty linen in public, it's never a good thing. It just draws too much bad and negative attention to the club. So I think that's probably the key aspects of what he's trying to get at here, building up a tight unit of trust. So
the leaks, what kind of things is this like saying about tactics? Maybe because I've heard in the past, I'm just trying to establish what we mean. I've heard in the past like players releasing team sheets. I think there's a story maybe last year or last couple of seasons about a player releasing a team sheet to one of his mates who went on to go to the betting office or something and put a bet on or something around that. Is it to do with that, or is it just to do with around Manchester United Football Club not having any information coming out and let it just going through the press. Come to you, Pat, on that. Do you want to elaborate on the leaks, please? What's the disadvantage of leaks? I refer to gambling, maybe things like that. But what else can you add to that?
I envision it's down to what happens in the club stays in the club.
Okay.
And Eric Ten Hag wants to keep it that way. Now, we've heard of all the gambling problems that has went through all the Premiership clubs, not just Manchester United. So I'd say giving out news about players being injured, picking up knocks in training, picking up knocks in warm-ups that will affect the starting lineup will be filtered down to friends that could inevitably sent out and they could make a wager on it in the bookies, etc. It'd be down to mainly any sort of beef that's in the dressing room. If I was playing the football match with OMONDI, or I was playing with Royce, or I was playing with Mr. B or anybody, and we all play for Manchester United, sometimes the football game can get a bit heated. Now, when I say it could get a bit heated, it get heated because there could be a big game this weekend. We could be playing Arsenal, like back when we had the rivalry where Keown and Van Nistelrooy were killing each other, that kind of rivalry, and emotions and tensions were high that week. Now, somebody could go in the tackle and not mean it, but because they're so wound up, getting themselves ready for the game, there could be a few 2-foots. Now, that should be kept on the training ground, forgotten about, shake hands, move on with it. But if that kind of thing gets leaked out into the social media, it brings bad negativity to the team, the kind of information that doesn't need to be shared. And I think that's what they want to keep in the club, down to the finest detail, because it brings back to a story I remember of Alex Ferguson, and there was leaks in his dressing room, and just say there was a certain part of Manchester where this leak came from, and there happened to be a couple of players in that area. That journalist goes, right, that fella's from Salford. Anybody, everyone you use are docked your wages now for the next month. And if anything else comes out again, you'll be docked again. And I don't care which one of you it is, you live in his area, you're getting docked. And it put an end to that leak fairly sharpish, because it's the best way of taking getting rid of that is hitting people in their pockets.
Professionalism and trust, I think, are the key words here as well.
Yeah, totally agree. Guys, in the comments, let us know what you think about leaks. Give us some examples about leaks and why is it bad, poison for football clubs, especially like Manchester United, because we always seem to be in the news, don't we, with all this information coming out. TalkMU. So you come home after a hard day training and something happens behind the scenes at the club. Do you tell your missus? Is that allowed?
In a positive light, I would say possibly, if it's a positive outcome. But on the flip side of that, something negative has happened at the club, and if it's hurt, if it's a physical thing, it's, you know what, you bite it off, you deal with it. Like Pat says, if you have a rumble with somebody in training and it's got a bit physical and you didn't like it, it's like, right, go home and sleep on it, and it's probably you forget about it by the morning, and it's like, right, okay, no problem. But if it starts to get a little bit personal, then this is where, things could possibly slip to your partner, because who do you trust more than that? Nobody else, surely. But again, that's where then aspects of what's going on at the club in terms of people's positions at the club needs to be there in order to get these things nipped in the bud and quickly, to prevent you having to speak about it to somebody else.
So there was a recent case with what's his name, Vardy's wife and Rooney's wife, maybe, and something. And it's about gossiping, isn't it? It's like loose lips and things. So being strict, would it go as far as Ten Hag saying, be careful what you say to the missus, or the missus needs to understand what you say to them? You can't be gossiping to your girlfriend. Oh, guess what? So-and-so said this, or this is going on. I mean, we've had some bad press lately, especially with, like, for Ryan Giggs, for example, what the issue with his brother and the missus and all that kind of thing, wife swapping, all this thing. It breeds poison on the club, as I keep saying. So, Pat Lawless, how do you feel about that? I mean, how far do you take this? I mean, would you take it home and restrict what you say to the missus? How's your day? Yeah, fine. That's about it. I mean, you need to talk to someone. How far does this go?
The information should be kept within the club, and you shouldn't be going home and talking to somebody outside of the vicinity, because their interpretation of what's happened in your day could be different, and they could be advising you on something that they don't know the full extent of the story. So they could say to you, on Monday, Juma kicked me in training. Oh, I can't believe he did that again. But you may not have told your better half the full story, that you kicked him twice in training. Or it could have been that you may have caught him with a sly elbow, or it could be anything. Your interpretation to another person may not be what they are trying to confine in you and explain it back to you. You should keep it to yourself. Do not tell your better half. Do not tell your best mate. Do not tell your father, because sometimes they might not be in the best of frame of mind either to talk to you, and they might give you bad advice, and before you know it, it ends up on social media. So it should be kept within the club. And
it's context, Pat, as well. And it's context. If you can't put across the context of what's happened correctly, you know, and sometimes you can't because the person wasn't there, and it's never the same. Even when you try and explain it, you have to be there sometimes. And I just want to say, anyway, good luck to anybody who tries to slyly give out an elbow to a Monday in training. Good luck with that one.
I'll stick them on my shoulders.
There's a receipt. There will be a receipt the next day, guaranteed about that. Just quickly, I want to ask you two, before we go into comments, because some really good comments about leaks and that kind of thing. What do you think? Do you think it's intentional? So we've had a recent, I think, not Tim Howard, I'm saying Lee Grant. People indicating that maybe he was leaking something. But do you think it was intentional by him? Do you think he was like talking to a reporter, intentionally trying to bad gossip or bad mouth things or reveal certain things? Or do you think it was just like loose lips? I mean, what's the intention here going on? Do you think they're doing it on purpose?
Well, yeah, there has to be some like positive return for them in order for them to be doing this, especially on a regular basis. This, you know, it becomes a habit, you know, kind of earwigging and chitter-chatting becomes a habit. There's obviously a reason why you're doing that. You're getting something out of it. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. You know, it's sometimes possibly they may think that they're doing the club a favor or doing teammates a favor. You know, we don't know if there's teammates who are not quite as vocal or quite as brave as other teammates, for example. You know, if I've got a problem with the coach and I'm not quite as sort of maybe up front as somebody else in the squad, and I go, oh, Pat, you know, I'm not happy about blah, blah, blah. And you say, well, go and see the boss, go and tell him. And you're like, oh, no, I don't want to fancy that. And then you forget about it, but then I come to you again the next day and start saying something similar about another thing. You know, you're gonna want to, you know, get it out there, aren't you? You're gonna want to say something. So I think there's a little bit of that at play as well.
Okay.
Communicating amongst players and staff is a standard, and they shouldn't be allowed to slip. What they bring home with them, what they communicate with their better half, relatives, should be kept within the club, and that's a standard. And that's a standard that Erik ten Hag is going to build up with these players. And if these players can't keep to that standard, and this information gets out, they're going to find out, because it's not very difficult to find out these days. So what I'll find is, we've already heard that Richard Arnold has came out and said that the two major players who are leaking information have gone. He didn't say who they were. He just said they were gone. That could be Grant, that could be Cavani, that could be Pogba, that could be Lingard. I highly doubt it's Juan Mata and anybody else who's left the club. So from here on out, there will be a standard set from Erik ten Hag, and communication will be one of them standards.
We'll say hi to Gavin Ward. He's talking about standards. He said it's about time there was some rules set. United has been like Butlins for too long. Considering the money they're on, they need to start earning their brass and actually be professional. Comments on that, guys?
100%. You know, this is like I said, my earlier statement, which is trust. You know, there has to be 100% trust. What's happening at the club between teammates? What's going on in training? You know, you have to trust your teammates. How can you build a winning team and a winning mentality if you don't think you can trust somebody in the team? You know, it can't happen.
Yeah, true.
He said professionalism as well is really good. King Salt says leaks have a negative impact on the media and puts unnecessary pressure on the manager and sends the wrong signals. So I agree with that statement. Pat, Anything to add to King's statement there?
I 100% agree. The media should be kept like mushrooms. Keep them in the dark and feed them.
Good one. I like that. Bill Badger, our man, he's saying, as soon as you put a United shirt on, you're backed and loved by millions of supporters. They need to remember this as humans and footballers, not money or greed. So greed, you mentioned money and greed. Maybe there's a few that's also talking about gains. Is there any sort of gains from this to sort of leak stuff out there? FC United forever says it's eat, drink, sleep, and train hard. Number 5, most important, no smoking on goal line.
But he is French, and the smoking in the cafe scene in France is quite vibrant.
Here we go. The wise man, Carl McConnor, he's saying leaks shouldn't be an issue. If players are releasing information that they shouldn't be, then first time should be a fine. Any time after that is exile from the squad. If they keep doing it after that, get rid. A couple more here. Emma's saying, if my husband came home annoyed, happy, and didn't tell me why, what happened at work, when I asked, I'm getting pissed, and home is not happy. So it works both ways. So that's a good insight from Emma there. Yeah. Do you want to speak on that?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at before when I was saying about, when you go home, it's about the mood as well, isn't it? When you go home and you're trying to, you got to be careful what you say to your partner. You don't want to bring your partner down if you've got bad news. Good news, like I said, if it's positive, then you can explain it. But if it's negative, you got to try and sort of try and put a positive spin on a negative situation, which can be difficult at times.
Gavin Ward again, big up Gavin. He's saying the thing is, social media, very important. Social media, yeah, this is crucial. And players wanted to be a brand now means players want to be a voice now, and they think they're bigger than the club. Pogba and Lingard are perfect examples of this, he reckons. King Sal is saying if the information has impact on the player's mental well-being and the player has a wife, he should be able to trust in her and that she won't leak any information. That's a very good point. Do you want to say big up to Solo? He's chipped in some of his own money into the funds. That's £4.49. And he's saying, big up, gentlemen, in Ten Hag, we trust. And we trust you now.
Yeah, that $4.49 is for me. Actually, I was talking to him today and I said I've run out of M&Ms. So nice one, Solo. I'll be going to the garage after this and stocking up.
Part-time report is also there. Also, very quickly, these Ten Hag commandments, if true, are incredibly stupid and counterproductive, but very likely to be true, to be honest. So he thinks it's stupid and counterproductive, so not to have any rules or anything like that. Rebel saying, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I can understand what Bath Time's saying there, but the one thing I want to point out here is why is it now that we've got this great coach and we know he's a great coach? You can't say he's not because his record suggests he is. This guy's coming to our club and now all these things are coming out. That then says to me, he's noticed that these things weren't happening, or through the grapevine, i.e. Mr. Ranić, these things were passed on to him, that these things are not happening at the club. And that is one of the major issues. So,
Pat, do you think we're a laughing stock then from what Talk's saying? Because a lot of stuff's been coming out. I mean, every other club seems to keep it in-house. Are we a laughing stock out there?
You can't win football games if you're not carrying out the basic fundamentals in a football club. So if there's leaks coming out, that's some of the basic stuff that's happening in the club. And if we can't get that right, how are we going to get anything else right? So we have to start with the basics. And unfortunately, this is what Erik ten Hag is saying. And the first thing he said when he came in his first press conference was, we're going back to basics. I'm going to start from the start and we're going to become great. Not good. Good's not good enough. We need to be better. And they were the fundamental things he said when he came in. So this man is going back to basics. If he's going back to basics for everything else, he's going to go back to basics for everything. He's going to change everything and implement his style. And this is what he's doing.
Do you know what? I'm going to say. Oh, sorry. Go on. No, I was just going to quickly say, and the fact is that maybe, you know what, if it wasn't Ten Hag, it would be another manager, because let's have it right. Ralph Rangnick was never going to be the manager full term. He knew that himself. It was always going to be a difficult job for him to. He did try and identify a few problems, didn't he? So, but I still believe that when I said, 5-6 streams ago, that Rangnick must have left some positive things at the club. And this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do agree. I think he's done really well. Rebel saying players' social media exploits where they bring the club into disrepute must be tackled also. Isn't that right, OMONDI? I do think that's right, yeah. And Robbie Norman saying it was like girl guides last few years about the running of the club. So, yeah, that's that. That's the first commandment that we've dealt with. We're going to move on quickly and just deal with clamping down in dressing room leaks. We've done that. Punishment for being late for training or team meetings. Ten Hag will drop players who are late for training or team meetings. Reputations count for nothing. He will punish all players all the same. But before we go into that, I want to have a big shout out to TalkMU because you're going to drop some more information about the fantasy football league, which is starting very soon. You got a code and a little summary of what's going down.
Yes, we have. So let's just replace that with this. So, folks, as you know, our very own Rebel, and I believe Pat may be involved in this. Am I right, Pat? In the fantasy football. Now, me personally, I don't know where to start with this kind of thing, but this is the code if you want to go and join the Man United Agendas Fantasy League. So go along to the website, the Fantasy League website, put in our code, and that will allow you to join our fantasy league. And I'm sure if you've played it before, you know exactly what to do anyway. But there will be a cup for the winner also. Whoever wins at the end of the season will get a little trophy with your name engraved and all that on it. So it's a nice little prize to get. And also the losing presenter or panelist who doesn't do so well and gets the lowest tally of points, Mr. B, has to do a forfeit. And so, yeah, and as Rebel explained the other night, the forfeit must be something that's not going to cause any injury, cost any money, or be indecent in any way. So as long as it's not all those three things, it's down to you guys to decide what the forfeit should be. So, yeah, go over there, put that code in, and get yourself ready to start picking your teams.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the next one here regarding the law. Just to finish up, at my work, we got a confidentiality policy as well, and that's really strict. And I think with GDPR, they got GDPR now with data protection, that kind of thing, it applies all round. So footballers are no exception. They have to follow the rules as well. I'm sure everyone at where their workplace has these data protection rules coming in with them as well. So we can't be chatting and gossiping and having loose lips and he said, she said stuff. So I agree with that law. I hope you both do too. I'm sure most people do. Common sense. Second one, punishment for being late, punctuality. Ten Hag will drop players who are late for training or for team meetings. Reputations count for nothing. He will punish players all the same. Very simple one. We shouldn't have to spend too long on this. Being late, basically, and being having poor punctuality. I'm going to start with you, Pat Lawless. You ever been late for work?
Yes, I have. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But I've snuck in the door to make sure I don't get caught. But, however, when you're in a position that gets paid a wage, that you're getting paid, timekeeping should be the least of your worries. And you hear the stories of all the past greats who were on the training pitch before the training was supposed to start and who were on the training pitch when the training finished. I think this subject should be a given, that everybody should be there before it starts and after it starts if you want to be the best at Manchester United, like past greats.
Fantastic. I think it's really simple, don't you think, TalkMU? I don't know if you work for anyone. You seem to work for yourself. So are you ever late on yourself?
Yes, you know what? Yeah, it's funny to say that because I can decide when I do whatever I do. I decide the time I do it, which is quite a privilege, to be fair. But I have worked hard to put myself in that position. However, in this setting, like Pat says, I agree with what Pat says there. There's no two ways about that. But I think it's also about, you got to set the standard for others. You lead by example, don't you, at a football club or in any kind of big setting like that, in everyday life as well, I suppose. And so you're setting the example for other players, teammates, and also the youth of whatever youth part of the youth squads may be training with you. If they're stood there waiting, and then Ronaldo or Rashford just rolls up late, and there's no recourse for that. That's not a good. You just can't do it. And it's also about keeping, in my opinion, keeping the line drawn in terms of who's the boss here, and the commitment again. You know what I mean? You've got to be committed to what you're doing. Yeah, so that's my own rules. You've got to be committed to what you're doing. You know, it's as simple as that.
So do you ever punish yourself for not performing on your job talk? I mean,
yeah. Well, do you know,
you don't pinch yourself around, do you?
No, listen, let me tell you, there's been a few times, right, when I've been doing, like, you know, because obviously I used to think Saeed knows exactly what I'm going to say, knows what I'm talking about. Stephen and his channel, there was one time when I was getting heavily involved, shall we say, and I would put off some of my own responsibilities, and then obviously I'm doing work, but I'm doing it for a client, yeah. So they pay me, but then when they notice then something's not right, you know, and they flag it up to me, and it's the first time, you're like, yeah, what? And I go back and look, and I'm like, okay, whoa. Then I have to have a word with myself, you know what I mean? I was like, whoa, come on, get a grip. This comes first, that comes second. You know what I mean? So you do have to keep yourself in trim, and it is quite easy to sway if there isn't a constant sort of reminder or constant pressure. And for me, my pressure was, crap, if I keep doing this, I could lose this client, and it's a good client. You know what I mean? So there always has to be, and I suppose this is where we're coming from this angle with Ten Hag. You have to keep, you know, putting these things, driving it home to players. So whenever anybody is late, the example being set by dropping, like you say, whether it's Ronaldo, whether it's, I don't know, Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, right? These, you know, the sort of heavy names, and they're dropped. That's a great example to the rest of the team.
I agree. So just going to talk about what's the name? Aubameyang at Arsenal. He was club captain. He was late, and Arteta dropped him in the stands and didn't worry about the result. And that set an example. Pat Lawrence, what do you think? Like, if you're in a team setting and someone keeps coming in late and getting away with it, and then you come in late and someone says something to you, it just causes a bit of unfairness, doesn't it? And a reeks of bad culture, I believe. Do you agree with that? Do you think you should cut it out altogether? No egos, no reputations, or anything like that? Treat them all the same.
There should be no egos, and every senior player should lead by example to anybody who is their junior or not as qualified as them. And when you're turning up for training, you should be in their ear. This is how the boss wants you to do it. This is what we expect. Now, put a shift in. You're not pulling your weight. Leading by example. Constantly lead by example. Everybody lead by example. A dressing room full of captains is what we need instead of a dressing room full of individuals. And we haven't had that for a long time. So that's what I want to see this year, and it has to be bred into players. And I feel like the culture will change, especially with the first signing. That first two signing, well, it's not really a second signing yet. I don't think it's official yet with Christian Eriksen, but Malacia seems to be an excellent signing without me even seeing him play because of his attitude I've seen in his first interview. Christian Eriksen, it's just like replacing Juan Mata. Level-headed footballer, pure professional, family man. This is what we want, leading by example. So if I was to go by the first two signings that Erik ten Hag signed in Christian Eriksen, leading by example for Malacia, we're off to a flying start. And I hope this continues into the rest of the squad.
A couple of comments here about punctuality. Got Emma saying, another standard way off topic. She says, I would like them to be able to go on maternity leave or parental leave when they have a baby for 2 to 4 weeks, she's saying. De Gea did that and didn't get back in the squad, did he, a couple of seasons ago? King is saying, if I'm earning 50k a week and driving Lambo, I would happily be the first and last player leaving the ground. Today's player is very spoiled. I love this comment. That speaks volumes. Well said, bro. Well said. And Emma is also saying, she's just saying it is paternity leave.
Just to touch on what Emma's saying, I think there's too much pressure. I think there's too much pressure on the players to play because of their contracts, because of their stature, and there could be rights that we don't know about, as in endorsement rights and advertisement rights, and playing a certain percentage to play. So that there's so much pressure on the players that you can't afford to do that, and we don't know the full story. What happened with David De Gea? He could have got himself in trouble elsewhere besides the club for taking that time off.
It's an interesting comment, that part, because you know, with image rights and all the sponsors, etc. If you've got a sponsorship deal with Nike, for example, I know it's going off topic slightly, but now it's been mentioned. If you've got a deal with Nike, for example, and they're like, right, okay, we're going to give you you know, at 2.5 million a season to wear our boots, but you've got to cover X amount of games and blah blah blah.
Nike could be a sponsor of a certain competition, any one of the competitions. And just for example, then David Hay is expected to play in that because he's a Nike ambassador. And then all of a sudden he's out for 4 weeks and he's not playing in a tournament that he's an ambassador for. It's not, I'm not saying David Hay is not right for doing it, but it's the pressure that's put on him for not doing it. So which would be the problem.
I think we've seen examples of footballers like playing away from home while their wife's about to give birth and not being there for the birth of their children. And that's commitment. I think that is commitment. And in any other profession, you wouldn't see that happening so much. So it's got to have a bit of balance there. I just want to talk about Matata United saying once you earn big, you also become spoiled. It's natural. So there is something in that as well. Your lifestyle is different. Karma Collar saying, I agree with this being on time or for being punished. If I rocked up late for my job, I would get disciplinary meeting. So why should it be any different for them? Yeah, totally agree. So that I think it's a simple one, that one, isn't it? That law. I accept that law. I abide by that law too. And I've got no issue with Ten Hag. When you go to law, commandment number 3, which I'm going to mix with commandment number 4. So eat what is prepared by the club. Now, this could cause a bit of discussion. The Dutch managers ban personal chefs and wants players to eat what is expected for them by the club. He has overhauled the menu at Carrington Training Complex with fish and vegetables featuring more prominently than before. Body mass index checked monthly. Ten Hag wants to ensure players are in the best shape they can be at all times. Each player has to have a custom diet plan drawn up for their body. Let me just read up something just to give people an example what body mass index means before we go into the conversation. So body mass index is a value derived from the mass and the height of a person. So BMI is defined by body mass divided by this divided by the square of the body height, and it is expressed in units, resulting in kilograms and height per meter. So it's a way of assessing your mass as a body using that calculation. And this is what they're proposing to do every month on the players to check, make sure, to ensure, even though they're watching them, giving them what they eat, to ensure they're not cheating somewhere by having a burger or a kebab late at night, that kind of thing. What do you think about this? Going to start with you, TalkMU. This is all about your diet and eating and being professional. What are your thoughts, please?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I think it's a great thing. It keeps you at your peak physical fitness, which is obviously key to being able to sustain the type of football that we are hoping to see under Erik ten Hag. You know, you can't be like, 100% fit one week, then the next week be like, oh, I've put a few pounds on them, because I've been eating X or I've been eating Y or whatever. No, this has to be a constant if there's to be, a consistent performance level from all the players together as a team. So everybody must take part. And I think that's why the target has been Carrington, because it's like he says, chefs at home now. No, forget it, because, you might be having dishes there that are giving you, far too much protein when you don't actually need that much protein. You need more carbohydrates because of your height compared to the muscle mass, etc., like you just explained. But I just want to give you a quick example of what the BMI for athletes should be on the scale. Let me just find it 1 second. Where is it? I did have it up, but I think it's 25.8 to 25.8 to 29. So anywhere in between there, that's a good level to be at. So, and anything over that or under that, over it, you're classed as overweight. That's apparently, this is not me. This is what the article's saying. And anything under that, you're classed as underweight. Too light. And I think we've seen that with some of our players in the past, haven't we? Where we've said such a player needs to bulk up. He needs a bit of mass. He needs a bit of more muscle to be able to compete more. So I think these are, again, aspects of the squad that Ten Hag's identified. Like I say, it's key. It's absolutely key to being able to keep the performances going. You look at the great athletes of the world. Usain Bolt, for example. you know that he would have been every day eating at the same times, more or less the same meals, set routine with a nutritionist, a dietitian and everything to keep him peak constantly peak, because you've got to be, like I say, to be able to compete at this level that we are hopefully about to enter into. Because let's be fair, the level last season was it even championship level? You know what I mean?
I think it all comes back to standards again. You can't have players dictating what they eat when they're under contract with a set wage at a club. You are given a strict diet at a club, and you can't be telling the club what you're going to eat, when you're going to eat, when they want you on a strict diet. I'm no fitness expert, but you can't have a person who is making your meals. Out of the whole squad, if 10 of them had them making their meals for them, then 10 people can't all be getting it right for them players. So they could be giving you the best of food to make you an athlete or to improve, but it might not be what you need to play in your position as a footballer. At the end of the day, every player on that pitch plays in a different position, has a different body size, and has different attributes. There's no point having David De Gea bulked out with a big set of shoulders on him and big fat legs. He needs to be agile. You don't need to have Marcus Rashford or Bruno Fernandes to have big shoulders and big arms. They don't need that. They need to be just built to be able to hold themselves and run. So I'd say Erik ten Hag probably has a little bit of a control freak in him, but I like that. There has to be a certain amount of control. So standards. It's back to standards again, Omondi.
I just want to add to this, or ask you guys a simple question about this. You're saying it should be in the contract that they have to, as being a professional, you have to do this. So do you think that they don't trust the players because they're taking away your responsibility? You got to eat with us, for example. They're saying you got to eat at Carrington, you got to eat what we tell you to do. You can't have your own personal dietitian or that kind of thing. You got to eat by. Is that saying like treating them like children? Don't trust them, not to go and have a kebab or not to fool themselves. Because if it's like having a drug test at work, if you I know train drivers who are not allowed to drink or not allowed to take any narcotics or anything like that because they would get tested every month. So to be professional and keep your job and perform at a high standard, because you don't want to be accountable for making a mistake on a train, which could cost, money or lives or something. You never know. The same applies for footballers with drug testing and that kind of thing. But now they're testing your body fat, your body mass index, so you have to take more responsibility. Otherwise, you will get sacked. It's the same applies. It's like the employment law for the average man. We can see it's happened to the players now. So where they're earning big money and everything else, do you think they've been treated like children in a way? And do you think they need to take more responsibility because it's got to the stage now where they can't be trusted?
It all goes down to the process of elimination when it comes to analysing the footballer. So I'm going to sit down Luke Shaw at the end of the month and I'm going to say, Luke, you've been very lethargic in the last 25 minutes of every game. Why is that? And he's going to say, well, I don't know why. Okay, here's 5 points I think it may be. One of them, you're not doing this in training, you need to improve this. Okay, so he does it and he starts getting a little bit better. They point out 2 or 3 more points and they try to improve it and he gets a little bit better. Okay, Luke, the last thing you're not doing is you're not using the diet that we're giving you and you're using your own personal cook. We need to change that. You need to start eating with the club. If it improves, it proves that your diet is not at the level we expect it to be. And this is what it will always come back to. It's the process of elimination to be able to say why a player is not good enough for Manchester United, because it's not all about skill set and work rate. It is down to following leads and standards. It's basically the word I was looking for again.
I want to add, I'm just going to add, I think you have to set a benchmark as well, don't you? You've got to set a benchmark and a starting point. If, like I said, if these things have not been going on at the club and Ten Hag's come in and identified with the help of Ranić or not, and he's like, right, well, this is not good. This can't be happening. Surely, you're telling me that you want us to be the best and you want to win. The way you're doing things, it's not gonna happen. So he has to start somewhere. And I think by making it a level playing field, so to speak, that everybody, because otherwise, right off bringing something new in like that and trusting players. It's not about trust. I don't think it's about just making it clear that look, we're doing this all together right here, right now, so everybody's on the same page right from the off. At some point, he may set that away and start to trust the players once they get into the habit. It's about breaking habits as well, because as we can see, we have the club and the players has gone into bad habits. We know that because from the performances and some of the leaks that we've heard, from the past. So I think there's some of that going on.
So there's 40 people in the comments. If you like the show, give us a like, please, and just give us some support out here. I also ask you guys in the comments what you think about these commandments, especially the one about the dieting and that kind of thing. I just want to make a quick point because I have done personal training before, and I do sort of have a little bit of an understanding about fitness industry and thing and how important it is. So I was listening to an interview by Novak Djokovic the other day. You all know him. He's a Serbian, should be number one tennis player in the world, but obviously, he hasn't played banned for a period of time, but he's a real professional. And if you listen to the interview he gave recently about his diet, he gets up in the morning, has some sort of cucumber juice. And this is the thing, he explains why, because he's got to train in the morning. So he doesn't want his body working overtime on his digestive system, eating things like carbs and bread or whatever. He wants something that's going to be light, like fruits. He has fruits and all this kind of thing in the morning. And he went through his planned meal throughout the day. And so he said, in the morning, leek juice, tomato, cucumber juice or whatever he's having. Then he'd have a smoothie or something like that. Then he'd eat fruit to keep it light, so his digestive system isn't working overtime, and he can get the best performance. It's all to do related to his performance, and he finds he's got more energy, and without taking PEDs or anything like that, he can get this from fruits and foods and everything else. This is why sports nutrition is so important these days. So, and also when you look at someone like Ryan Giggs, he prolonged his career by starting to do yoga and his own this is what they weren't doing this at Carrington. He just made his own choice to say, I'm getting injured a lot. Remember, Giggs used to get injured quite a bit. And he went, why am I getting injured so much? And he started to reflect and look at himself properly and started to do things which were fundamental to make him perform for his body. So yoga and change his diet. And you talk about people becoming vegan now as well. I know some vegans my age who are still playing football at a high level, and they've completely healed any injuries or anything. They keep saying, you've got to be vegan, got to be vegan. And there is some truth in it. They're witnesses for that kind of thing. So it's very important. And also, I'm going to compare two players of a similar age. You've got Ronaldo, who we all know is very professional. When it comes to sports nutrition, he's on point. He does his own thing, as we knew with the custard. What was the joke about pudding or something when he turned up at Man United? He was shaking his head like, what's going on here? And you compare him with someone like Rooney. They're about the same age. And you look at Rooney now, who can just about struggle to get out of his seat. And then you got Ronaldo, look at the shape he's in.
Does a backflip out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So those are good examples.
The same thing goes for footballers as it does go for a Formula One car. You want to be the best, you have to have the best fuel, you have to have the best tires. And that's why the club want to control it.
Right, quickly, going to go through some comments on this subject. King Salt is saying, because players have different levels of discipline and what they eat has such an impact on performance levels, I understand the club. So he agrees with this one. Gavin Ward, big up man, he says, I think that's the problem. They have been treated like children for too long. What do you want? Emma's saying the personal nutritionist should work with the club. That way you get the best solution for the players.
Can I say something about that?
Go on
Emma's comment.
Yeah.
If they could be possibly selected by the club with a certain amount of qualifications, and I did think about this, Emma, so it's a very good point. So if they have a certain amount of qualifications, or they have the qualifications that the club desire or Eric Ten Hag desires, then I'd totally agree with that.
Gavin Ward's also saying it's a generational thing as well. I think if you look at pictures of people in the 70s at the beach, they're all slim. Naturally, everyone was slim and skinny back in the day. Just I'm generalizing, but it seemed that way in the 70s, maybe the 60s. And now you go to a beach, take a beach photo, and people are a lot bigger, especially in America as well. There's a problem with obesity by the diet, the food they eat. Bill Badger said he was a beast earlier. Said Greggs is not going to lose some money now. Luke Shaw's banned from the pastries. And was saying it's like a generational thing too. Generation X was last normal generation, had to be a bit of a thick skin. Generations after that have got more progressively softer and softer. Bill Badger is saying yoga was for the bedroom and one day. I want to say hi to Dale Griffiths. How you doing?
Yo, big up Dale.
Housen on his channel that certain players like Elanga have been sourcing extra training and nutrition outside of the club, which in his opinion is embarrassing from a United front. So what do you think about that? Because we've all seen videos of Elanga putting the work in, box jumping records, and Rashford doing the treadmill challenge and that kind of thing. Is that embarrassing to the club that they have to go out and,
Yeah, 100%. Listen, I know exactly what Dale's talking about here, and it is an embarrassment, and this is where we are a laughing stock, because we're kind of stuck. We're kind of stuck in the mid-90s here in terms of how the club's run, in terms of players having to be responsible for their own nutrition plans, their own extra physical education plans. I say PE, right? That's I'm just putting it as physical education because that's what it is basically, and that's an embarrassment. There should be specialists of all sorts and all disciplines at the club, employed by the club at Carrington and at the club itself, at Old Trafford. So if you do want to go in, if you don't want to go to Carrington and you want to go into the gyms at Old Trafford, you can go there and you can work with somebody on a particular part of your body. But as we know, I'm sure maybe some bodybuilders among that have possibly, wanted to get a certain part of the body like up to speed with another part of the body, and they've overdone it and caused themselves a problem. This can happen if you don't know exactly what you're doing, and that too, those exactly. Sorry, go on, Pat.
I really don't think we're going to see this next year, lads. No, this is the last of the generation of no control, where Eric Ten Hag will have their summers probably mapped out for them next year. They'll have the holidays, but they'll have the training regimes mapped out for them, and I'm sure they'll have homework to take away when they're on holiday to keep them a little bit of criteria to keep themselves in a certain shape. Let's say you can't go out and as Bill Baggio says, and live in Greg's for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, good one. Go on. No, I was just going to quickly point out.
Yeah, go on.
That we talked a little bit a while ago about the footballs has changed and all that, and I think more than one person on this channel was pointing out that no, football's not changed. It's the players that have changed. It's the body shape is changing. The muscle mass is changing. This is what's going on, and there is some articles about that you can find online to go and read about how footballers are changing in their physical sort of makeup.
I totally agree. If you look at babies, for example, my sister is a complete vegan. The baby is 2 years old now, never eaten any processed foods, anything like that, and she's like slim, muscle bound, no baby fat on her. Sorry. When you see other babies are really big and have that baby fat as well, and that's really unhealthy. It's because of no breast milk, other different kind of formulated milks, all kinds of things that they're feeding their babies with, jar foods, that kind of thing. So, and like you say, when you look at the shape of people, is changing. You're right about that talk. I've done a report on it years ago about the shape of people. It's all to do with processed foods and what we're eating. So when Ten Hag is asking people to eat fish and vegetables, the basics, bringing back to maybe a caveman almost diet, that we know that it's important, and you can get so much fuel out of your food like that way. Andy Long saying Giggs had hamstring issues because of the clutch of the Ferrari. Anyone remember that story? Oh, right, he's not joking. Is that was true then? Did he actually say that? Carla McConnell saying Ronaldo's food plan is insane. We should look that up maybe. Robbie Norman saying Keane loved yoga and pints. I mean, Keane's, he does talk about, he was drinking a lot, wasn't he? But balancing hard work, I suppose. Emma Kay is saying, I'm guessing we expect them to seek out information themselves, being athletes, and wanted to know what and why they're eating something, but a lot don't. So it's about taking responsibility. As Pat was saying earlier, Emma's also saying anyone with anything they work with should technically be approved by the club. Andy Long said, I'm no athlete. My daughter's 13 and can cook a balanced diet of meals. I'd be embarrassed if my child left home and was unable to look after themselves. I'd feel I'd failed as a parent. And I'm going to end it there because that's that subject about the diet and the body mass index. Last thoughts on that, Eddie? Do you agree with that, guys? Is that a good commandment to have?
Yeah, 100%. I said, you've got to keep it. You've got to keep everything level.
All right, last one we're going to talk about. We're going to wrap it up soon. Is don't complain to agents. Ten Hag wants the players to come to him. if they have an issue, not to the agent. It's clear that Ten Hag will not be taking any nonsense from the players whatsoever. So if you've got an issue, go to the manager. Don't speak to your agent and have it leaked in the media somehow and stirred around for the whole of the Man United agenda to do shows on. What do you think about that, Pat Lawless? I'll start with you.
Yeah, he looks like a regular agony aunt there, Eric Ten Hag does. Come on into the census room. We'll have a chat with you.
Slap.
He is right, because basically what he's doing is he's reaching out with an olive branch. He's giving them somebody to confide in. And it's sometimes like a problem shared. A problem halved is a problem shared. It's never as bad as it seems to be. And if you can see, like at the end of the day, this man has experience. He's worked with all types of different footballers. And if you come through a problem, he's probably seen the problem 10 times before. And it would never be as bad. And sometimes players might have gone to their agents. The agent may have opened their mouth, or a brother might have opened the mouth. Wink, wink. I'm not talking about an individual, right? But after it comes out in public, they may have realized, oh, Jesus, maybe I shouldn't have said that, or maybe I shouldn't have said anything. So this is what Eric Ten Hag is saying. He's saying, come to me first before you do anything. Give me a chance to rectify it. Not everybody's perfect. I'm not perfect. And I may make a mistake sometimes. Maybe I might be overlooking something that you're doing, and you may deserve more of a chance to get into the first team or have improved regular playing time. Don't speak to your agent. Come to me first. I'll see what I can do for you. If I can't do anything for you, maybe I'll put you out on loan for a year. See if I can do anything for that for you. If I can't do anything where we can come to some sort of compromise, maybe it is time to move on. And then we can speak to your agent together and you can move on.
TalkMU Gavin here saying one of the biggest problems in the game at the moment is agents. Didn't Fergie say something along them lines as well? What are your thoughts about agents and players sort of running to them rather than the manager?
Well, I'm going to say a little sentence, and I think this just fits the bill perfectly, and that's player power removed. If you take away that ability for the player to go straight to the agent and bypass the manager, where do you think player power comes from? It's the agents. They are a real problem in the sport. So I think what Ten Hag's doing here is he's cutting out that man who may be able to cause the problem, because I think a lot of the problems come from the agent, because footballers, may not necessarily be coming up with all these fanciful suggestions and ideas to the club or moans and gripes. A lot of it coming from the agent, because that's what they're paying them for. Granted, they're paying the agent for a service, but at the end of the day, it makes it a much simpler process to get to the bottom of the problem and come to an amicable conclusion as to how do we rectify this, rather than bringing in a third party who's going to possibly blow this up into money, or he's going to go to another club. The player might not necessarily even have that in their mind that they want to go to another club, but the agent could say, you know what, if I start saying, oh, I can get you in another club if you don't get X, Y, and Z, and that's where all this player power comes from. It's a nonsense. So I think this is a great move. Absolutely.
I think that it's pretty simple what Eric Ten Hag is trying to do here. He's trying to turn around and say, speak to me first. If you don't, and you speak to your agent next, and he goes out and he opens his mouth in public, he opens his mouth on the internet, he opens his mouth about you being transferred. First of all, you'd be docked a week's wages. Second of all, if that happens again, you'd be gone. Bottom line. I'll move you on in January. And I'm sure the first player he moves on because of this, you'll find the rest of them jump in line. And that's just life.
So Emma here saying Eric is telling the players how it's going to be with him as manager. And that is the kind of manager with tough love in a way. And if you don't like it, then bounce. I like it, she says. Also, I want to say hi to Alpha Eagle. He's saying this club gives me no hope. Once Martinez chooses Arsenal over Man United, I wonder how long it could take for United to announce Martinez. Just look at Malacia, Ericsson, which is still ongoing. So Alpha Eagle, welcome to the channel, bro. Nice to see you. And Gavin saying here, Fergie even had bouncers and owners around Manchester United, on the payroll. So if they're out on a piss, then he would know about it. So that's the lengths that Fergie had to go to be a great side. Overall,
OMONDI. Eric Ten Hag won't have to do that anymore because of social media. Like, they can't go to the bathroom without putting it on social media these days. So they'll be hanging themselves out to dry. And if they don't, somebody else who's standing beside them will.
So, guys, those are the 5 commandments. We've gone through them in fine detail, and I approve. I promise to stick with this new covenant, and failure to do so, there will be curses. Just like in the Bible, there are curses if you don't keep the law. Transgressors of the law, there will be curses, and you will go into captivity and end up at a smaller club or something along them lines. Like you two, what do you think? Do you agree? Are you a bit? Is there one or two of those sort of laws that you think that's a bit harsh or whatever? Or are you full agreement, guys? Finish up.
Agreed, 100%.
Eric Ten Hag is laying the foundations. He's starting from the bottom and he's working his way up. You have to start somewhere. So if you can't work to the basic fundamentals, he's basically telling you, start looking for a new club in January.
Good. I like what I think we're all in agreement for once, even with the people in the comments as well. Can't imagine there's no one in the comments here actually saying no, this is outrageous. Anyway, back to training. Eric Ten Hag is saying too many mistakes in training. This is what's coming out. New Man United manager Eric Ten Hag has got down to business quickly at the training complex at Carrington. Is determined to show his stars who the boss is. Pre-season training started this week at United, and already the manager has implemented grueling training exercises and laid down several rules he expects players to follow. As can be seen from the video released on Twitter, Ten Hag has introduced some very passing-heavy training routines and is so far less than happy with what he's seen. The boss can be heard saying too many mistakes during the exercise. Last week, it was reported that the Dutchman had ordered the grass at Carrington and Old Trafford to be cut to exactly 15 millimeters in length, which he believes to be the optimum slick passing. Wow, wow, wow. I really like this. Guys.
Yeah.
Can we quickly touch on this, please? Have you seen the training? Have you seen the comparison with Ajax on Twitter or wherever they showed a little video? What do you guys think? Just TALKMU, start us off, man.
Yeah, I think this is a marvellous news, because this is the one thing that we would gripe about last season, and possibly some at times the season before. The passing was shocking, absolutely terrible. You know, when it was into a safe area, a lot of the time it was kind of like, yeah, okay, you know, that's not bad. But when it was in tight areas, absolutely diabolical. It really was. And you know, I've seen the clips, some clips on Twitter about with the training, the passing and the moving, and you know, leaving space, moving space, occupy the space. You know, move the space with you. So you know, you're dragging. If there was a player there, you'd be dragging them with you to get them out of their space that they're occupying. You know, when we were talking about this during games last season about moving, drifting, just keep moving. Don't stand still. When you stand still, you make it easy for the opposition because they've got your cover shadows, etc. We've been through it with bath time and all that jazz. So I think this is a great thing. I really do.
Pat,
I don't know if you remember, I said about a week or so ago, we were discussing about the training sessions, and everybody was doing passing drills and moving. And I was just saying to the guys, I said, I just felt like it all looked a bit too nicey and a bit too tippy-tappy. Pass the ball, move out to the left. It looks like he started off in a big field this size, right? I can't do it on the camera. He started off in a big field this size. And then he went, that's great, lads. Now, do it in the field this size. But hurry up, make it quicker. And he hasn't gone full speed yet. So what we see in there during the week is Scott McTominay. We saw the video. No, Scott, you're doing it wrong. You're not doing this. No, not just picking out Scott McTominay, because I'm sure there's a lot of others who haven't got it right straight away, who weren't used to using 2 feet. Not saying they can't use 2 feet, but who aren't used to using 2 feet all the time, or have that quick thinking. So what I'm saying is, give it 2 more weeks, and it's going to be this size, and the passing and moving is going to be like a game of pinball. They're going to have to quick thinking, one touch, move it, keep going. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the Ajax training methods with Eric Ten Hag, and it's like the Nike advert years ago: smaller spaces, smaller ball. There's about 6 of them in a little. It looks like a 6-a-side game with 2 goals, and it's like it's in 2 car park spaces, and they're passing that ball so quick, one touch. I couldn't imagine doing it. I couldn't imagine if I'd done it by fluke if I tried to do it myself. How quick the ball was moving, and there was no. It's like they practiced this drill so many times, over and over and over and over. It's second nature. They're looking that way and they hit the ball that way, and this is what's going to happen. And unfortunately, we are going to have a few victims, and we may be shocked. We may lose a player here or two that we might have thought have thrived under Eric Ten Hag, but they may not. They just may not have the IQ. They may not have the quick thinking that he's looking for. This is why he's going for this Martinez as a technical centre back instead of your big burly, I'm going to kick you up in the air, village kind of defender that we all would love to have back again. But this is the point I'm getting at. It's going to be pinball football in the football training, and they're going to have to adapt and move quicker and get used to it.
Solid. I love that. Great points there. Bill Badger saying, because we obviously, the man in the middle was Scott McTominay. So Bill Badger saying, get Ten Hag a stun gun. McTominay shanks the pass. Blam!
We can't build. There'll be bodies everywhere.
Can you imagine it? Oh, my days.
I do. I mean, talking, you made some really good points there about the drill. I think these are the kind of drills that get you the cohesion with the side. It gets you sharp, pop, 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 pop. And in the end, like Pat was saying, when you do these drills over and over and over again, I mean, it's better than doing running, in my opinion. It's all about it's a team game. It's about that cohesion you need within the team in tight areas, like you were saying, TalkMU, to pop it off. So and movement as well. You move the ball into feet, left foot, right foot, and you lay it off, and it's automatic. So if someone makes a move, pass it into your feet, you should automatically know he's also coming for the ball again. For twos, or I would say twos, pop it to feet, twos, or one, two. And so that communication comes automatic. And when you're doing it over and over again, and your manager's standing over you and not afraid to call you out, knowing the cameras might be there, might hear you getting a bit embarrassed, as Bill Badger picked up on with Scott McTominay, you have to really pick up. So it's sort of like a match day scenario because people are watching very closely, aren't we? Every move you make. So if you're doing these moves, like when they do the little ring thing when they're popping the ball around and the man in the middle has to chase the ball down. If he gets nuts, it goes viral, doesn't it? So these things are really important. You have to be on your game, and then this is why technique is so important. Players, I can't imagine, say Steve Bruce. I'm no disrespect to Steve Bruce, maybe, but he might struggle in this sort of 1-2 touch, pop in, pinging the ball around in those sort of areas. But we need. That's why I agree with Pat about Martinez. He's got the game for that, and clearly he can walk into the training and not be out of place. So technique is everything going forward. Love that. Final point, guys, before we go on. We're going to move on to, here we go. Oh my God. Yesterday, the day before, it seems like every day there's a saga going on with De Jong. Worry for Man United is Chelsea prepared to hijack De Jong deal with 2-player offer. That's according to the recent report from Sergio Sanchez, who has reported the Red Devils' domestic rivals are trying to scupper any potential deal currently being discussed. Santos believes Chelsea prepared to offer the Liga giants, that'd be Barcelona, Cesar Azpilicueta and Marcos Alonso, the two fullbacks, in exchange for De Jong, although the Blues are also rumoured to be considering an approach for Cristiano Ronaldo. With new owner of Chelsea, Todd Bowley, trying to fill multiple staff roles, it's going to be hard for the Londoners to conclude so many high-profile signings at the same time. Currently in the process of finalising Raheem Sterling for 35 mil, I think, which is really cheap, from Man City. It would be surprising, to say the least, if Chelsea immediately turn their attention to De Jong. Now, I've talked about De Jong over and over and over again recently. I don't know if I really want to say too much anymore. Over to you guys.
It's going on, Frankie, too long. I don't want to talk about it anymore. That's a real it's a real press media trying to put two and two together. Which football team could afford to buy Frankie De Jong? Who has aging players? Yeah, we'll throw two of them in a deal and we'll try and get Frankie De Jong the deal. Where have you seen that in all your days in the last while? It sounds great on paper, but you don't really see it. You might see one player in a swap deal, but not two players.
Yeah, the only saving grace here for me is that there's actually nothing's come out officially that there's been an offer put in. Now, from the level of interest that I'm hearing and been reading from certain outlets, you go, okay, well, look, it's like you're saying this, but surely if it was this level of interest that you're trying to make us believe, there would be an offer put in by now. We've done all the hard work here. Chelsea know exactly what they've got to do. They know exactly how much they've got to pay. They know about Frankie's money owed by Barcelona. You're telling me they don't know that? Of course they do. So they may well be interested, but not at the stage yet where they're even considering making any offers, you know. So, and the other question is, I know it's all this. Bill Baggio.
Give over, Bill, will you?
Sorry, talk.
It's funny, man. Bill bringing up you should be on stage. Honestly, we'll do a stand-up night, and Bill can come on and do the business. But yeah, another point I want to make is that Chelsea, I mean, they're not really sort of light in the midfield area, are they, with Kovacic, Kante, and Jorginho. I know N'Golo Kante with the age and all the bars, but still, I think they're quite self-reliant in that area of the pitch, to be honest. And the other question is, would Frankie de Jong, would he fit into the kind of 3-4-3 system that Chelsea plays under Tuchel, with playing out on the right of the three? Would he? I don't know. It's all it's a bit unusual. I mean, deep fried.
They're all going. All right, let's end the show on a funny note. Obviously, I have to read it out. Bill Baggio says, "Sure, smoking just smells of steak and kidney." Bill Baggio says Maguire would have melted by now. But they're carried in. Rebel say Maguire and Shaw will be getting a few votes, and then no doubt about that. Then deep fried Fred. This is brilliant.
Take Fred's name out of your frying pan, bro. Because Solo's going to go for you.
Oh, God. All right, enough. Rebel, you have all right. Both of you, time out. You're banned for the channel, man. We've got to take a break from you guys because you're a spoiler. We try to be professional here, and you're making us laugh. Very funny, though. Pat, how did you enjoy the show? Do you believe in the commandments? Do you believe in the rumours? How are you feeling overall at Man United? We're about 3 weeks in now, and we've got games coming up. How are you feeling overall?
It feels positive at the moment with these kind of stories coming out, and when we are talking about the training aspect of it, it all seems to be going back to basics, and you have to start from the start. So he's going to start correcting all the issues that we've had and all the issues that we haven't seen behind the scenes. So it all seems positive. I like it. The only thing I'd like to see now is maybe a little bit more movement in the transfer window. If we could even just get the Young tied up, I'd be happy. I know there's a lot more. There's more weeks to come in the transfer market. Our concern as Manchester United fans is we've seen this all before, and we're afraid that the Frankie de Jong deal is going to get dragged out a little bit longer, and then we're going to miss out on the equivalent of how it went with Gareth Bale. And then we spent so much effort on trying to get Frankie de Jong in the window that we missed out. We're going to miss out on players that may have already gone to other clubs, or other players that are going to end up going to other clubs. So that's my only concern. But otherwise, everything's very positive. And we could see a shift because at the same time, Barcelona have only brought in, how many players have Barcelona brought in now? Can anybody answer that? How many players have Barcelona actually brought in besides Christensen?
Christensen, Kesse,
all frees.
For Rafinha, they got not gone through yet.
The two lads, were they frees?
Both frees, but they haven't been registered yet.
So they haven't actually spent any money yet, I'm not too sure because there could be signing on fees involved in them. But that doesn't mean the signing on fees are paid yet either. So if Barcelona all of a sudden make a big signing, maybe there's hope for us getting de Jong, or maybe the floodgates will open after they sell us de Jong. So hopefully.
Thank you. TalkMU, I just want to ask you quickly before we sign out. We've talked a lot over the year of the show about certain factors that are really important. I know we've been frustrated, poor style of play, but I'm happy about the training. This is what the head coach is supposed to do. It's a good start, what we're seeing. And to balance that with we're sort of crawling in the transfer market. So how happy are you with the training on one side, looking positive, but also the transfer development? How are you feeling about all that?
I think, I mean, when you take it as a whole like that, and you put it, all together, as we knew, Ten Hag was coming into a real mess. And I described it as a massive knot of all kinds of different fabrics, which it was. And for him to slowly start picking this apart, I think he's made a great start in the attempts at doing that. And I want to just try and cast your mind back, Amondi, to something that was mentioned on the channel a while ago, and that was short, sharp shock. Remember, we talked about that because we were linked with Antonio Conte, and I was talking about short, sharp shock. Yeah. We need that. This is that short, sharp shock. that we needed right now. But the plus side of that also is it's going to continue because he's the full-time manager. We're not going to be expecting him to just stay for 2 seasons and skip, make an excuse to get out of there. Hopefully he's going to be here for a good number of years. So it's fantastic. And yeah, the transfer side of things, look, it's always going to be difficult. It's Manchester United, especially in a difficult period that we're in right now. And also the fact that I think this with Barcelona, it's just such a mess, that club at the moment. Their illustrious history is unquestionable. Their style of football is unquestionable. But as it stands right now, they are in a complete mess. So I think we've got to be patient. We've got to give credit where credit's due to the staff at Man United as it stands right now. And it's not as easy as it looks for us as fans to just go out and make this Frankie de Jong deal happen when you're basically going to try and convince a kid, look, forget about, you're either going to say to him, forget about that money that they owe you and just come and sign for us and we'll give you X amount of wages and blah, 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 right? You're going to say to him, look, we'll give you a lot of that money in a signing on fee. So rather than give it to Barcelona in a bumped up fee, you would give it him in a signing on fee and say, look, we was going to give you 5 million signing on fee, but we'll put that up to 10, right, to cover some of that loss that you may incur if you do have to come to us. And Barca say, if you leave, you won't get this money because it may be in a contract or something like that. So it's a complicated thing, but I'm pleased as it stands, to be fair.
Okay, I'm just going to end by saying that, we've gone through the commandments today. I am going to refer to Ten Hag as Moses from now on. I think he should carry around a staff like Moses, and what this preseason will be like the part of the seas. Who can go forward with him once he parts the seas and to the other side to the start of the Premier League, and anyone left behind in pre-season, we can close the sea again and wash them away, and they can get drowned up and lost at sea and not turn to be on the bench, be sold or something like that. I just see I'm really, really enthusiastic now. I haven't been this positive for a long time, just from seeing little clippets of the training and by seeing the rules he's bringing in to the club as well, which is discipline. Everyone loves discipline, but most importantly, people that really need discipline are children. And as someone said in the comments, it looks like we have been behaving like spoiled little brats for a long time now, and probably footballers are, because when you've got that money, who can tell you anything? You're driving around in a flash car, you can grab any girl you want, you think you're Superman, don't you? And you're fit as well. You think it's going to last forever. But he's treating them like children now, which is a good thing. Discipline is important for children. I always believe that, and for people who are unsettled or antisocial in football terms, by doing things antisocial in the football terms and not being professional. So I love what he's representing. There was an issue. We didn't really know too much about Ten Hag, about this side of him. It's only coming out now. We've heard reports, but now we're seeing it firsthand. So I'm delighted, because he's not just a tactical guy who you might be soft and you can walk all over. He's covering all sides of it. And I think he's got so much experience about managing it. Because it's not easy, trust me. It's not easy managing a group of players, especially when they're millionaires and that kind of thing. We've seen it. That's why it's so difficult to get a tune out of most teams, isn't it? So I'm really delighted we've got this manager. I think everyone's impressed. I think other fans will be impressed by what we're doing. And discipline first, technique second, as we're seeing with the drills and that kind of thing, and then we have to perform it on the pitch. And I think with those two things in place, these players will be delivering, in my opinion. Anyway, so enough said from me. Thank you, Pat Lawless, once again, the man who does Monday to Friday 24/7. And as you might not think, might not be on every show, but TalkMU is 24/7 on many other shows. Again, we appreciate you, TalkMU. All the work you do in the background as well, and all the great work you do on shows as well. So it's not just what you see him delivering here. He does so much behind the scenes, which really makes his channel grow and important to us as well. So we thank you guys. And we're signing out. Give everyone a wave at home, and we will see you
tomorrow.
When we see you again tomorrow at 8:30, and then 10 o'clock.
10
as well
o'clock.
For the Friday night takeaway. So get yourselves ready, settle down, get your popcorn, and we'll be back. God bless. Bye-bye.
Ciao.